Remove that uniform now. You are finished in this bank. Bode Daniels' voice struck the marble hall like a slap. Titi stood near the entrance, breathless, her pale blue sleeve torn, her orange apron stained with dust. Behind her, paramedics were lifting an unconscious old woman onto a stretcher, the same woman Titi had just carried away from a faulty glass door before it closed on her body. But nobody thanked the cleaner. Bode pointed at her as customers raised their phones. You abandoned your mop, touched a customer without permission, and disgraced this branch before important people. Poor people become dangerous when they taste small importance. Titi's lips trembled. Sir, the door was closing. She could have died. Know your level, he thundered. You remove dirt. You do not give orders. Then the old woman's eyes opened. She turned toward Bode and whispered one sentence that drained the color from his face. Stay with this story, because the cleaner he had just humiliated had saved the one woman who could expose everything. Subscribe now and comment your city or country and your local time as we begin. 3 hours earlier, Lagos was already awake and angry. Danfo buses coughed black smoke into the morning air. Horns fought one another along Ikorodu Road. Traders pulled open metal shutters while conductors shouted destinations with voices that sounded stronger than sleep. At 7:12 that Wednesday morning, Titi Nwosu stepped down from a crowded bus near Maryland and adjusted the faded strap of her handbag. She had left her one-room apartment in Mushin before 6. The earlier bus cost 50 naira less, and 50 naira could still buy tomatoes if one knew the right woman in the market. That was how Titi measured money. Not in thousands, in meals, in blood pressure tablets for her mother, in the number of days before rent became an insult from the landlord. She walked the remaining 400 meters to Meridian People's Bank, her work shoes in a nylon bag so the red dust outside would not stain them. At the staff entrance, she changed from her worn sandals, tied her orange apron around her waist, and looked at herself in the small security mirror. Her pale blue uniform was clean. Her hair was neatly covered. Her eyes were tired. Morning, Sister Titi, Yusuf Ibe said from the security desk. Good morning, Oga Yusuf. Hope no problem? I am managing, he replied, pressing the button that released the staff door. Generator troubled us again in the night. Titi entered with her bucket and cleaning trolley. The banking hall was quiet, polished, and cold. Silver letters above the reception desk carried the institution's slogan, Banking with Dignity. Titi had cleaned those letters every Monday for 14 months. Nobody had ever asked what they meant to her. She started with the entrance. The automatic glass doors had been giving trouble since Monday. Sometimes they opened too slowly. Sometimes they closed with a sharp jump, as though an invisible hand had pushed them. That morning, Titi noticed something worse. She moved her mop handle toward the sensor. The door opened halfway. It paused. Then it snapped shut. The mop handle struck the glass with a hard crack. Titi jumped back. Yusuf! The guard came quickly. What happened? See this door. It nearly caught my hand. Yusuf tested the sensor twice. The second time, the two glass panels shuddered before opening. His face tightened. I reported it. When? Monday morning. Again yesterday, 4:39 in the afternoon. I copied operations. Then why is it still working? Yusuf looked toward the staircase that led to the manager's office. Because today is inspection day. Titi understood. By noon, regional executives were expected at the Maryland branch to present a certificate for customer service. Bode Daniels had spent 10 days preparing. Fresh flowers stood in tall gold vases. A new red carpet had been unrolled near the entrance. The premier lounge had been supplied with imported juice, meat pies, and small cakes nobody was allowed to touch. But the emergency call button near the elderly customer seats had been dead for 11 days. Titi had wiped dust around it every morning. She pushed her yellow warning sign in front of the faulty door. Yusuf nodded. Leave it there. I will direct people to the side entrance. They had barely finished speaking when Bode Daniels entered. He wore a deep green suit a ruby red tie, and the expression of a man who believed the day belonged to him. His gold pocket square shone beneath the white lobby lights. He stopped the moment he saw the yellow sign. His smile disappeared. Who put that thing there? Titi held the mop with both hands. I did, sir. The door is closing anyhow. Bode looked at the sign as if it carried a bad smell. Remove it, sir. Are you deaf this morning? Remove it. Yusuf stepped forward carefully. Sir, I sent maintenance emails. The sensor is not stable. It may be better to lock the door until the technician. Did I employ you to advise me on how to run my branch? Bode asked. No, sir. Good. Then face your security work. He turned to Titi. And you, carry that ugly sign away. Do you want the directors to think they entered a mechanic workshop? Titi glanced at the glass. Sir, somebody can get injured. For 1 second, the hall became still. Bode walked toward her slowly. You people are becoming too bold in this country. Titi lowered her eyes. I was only saying, you were only forgetting your level. Your work is to make this place shine, not to fill the air with your opinions. The bank pays your company. Your company pays you. There are 2 whole floors between your voice and my decision. He pointed toward the staff corridor. Remove it. Titi carried the warning sign away. It felt heavier than plastic. At 7:36, Bode called the morning briefing. Tellers, customer service officers, security staff, and contract workers stood in a half circle. Titi remained near the back with her cleaning trolley. Bode smiled now. It was the polished smile he used when senior people were watching. Today must be flawless, he said. Regional leadership will be here by 12. Our premier customers must not wait beyond 7 minutes. Keep the front row clear for them. Kemi Johnson, the operations head, held a purple folder against her chest. What about pensioners, sir? Wednesday is usually their busy day. Encourage them to use the machines or the mobile application. Some of them struggle with the app. Bode's smile thinned. This is a bank, Kemi, not an adult literacy center. We cannot carry every customer on our head. A few employees laughed softly. T did not. Bode continued. Do not allow people with market bags to sit near the premier lounge. The smell of dried fish and pepper should not welcome our directors. Security, use discretion. Yusuf stared straight ahead. Contract staff must remain behind the line unless there is an actual cleaning need. No wandering, no unnecessary conversations with customers. And please, Bode's eyes found Titi. Nobody should use small familiarity to turn herself into customer care. The briefing ended. Kemi waited until the others moved away before approaching Bode. Sir, the entrance door issue is on my desk. Yusuf reported it twice. Bode adjusted his cuff. The technician will come after the ceremony. What if there is an incident before then? There will not be. That is not how risk works, sir. Bode looked at her. Kimmy immediately softened her voice. I am only concerned about the audit trail. Then concern yourself with making sure no incident enters the trail. He walked upstairs. Kemi remained there for a moment, squeezing her face. Titi saw her. Kemi saw that Titi saw her. Neither woman spoke. By 9, the banking hall was full. Customers formed 2 lines. One line moved quickly beneath a blue sign marked Premier Surface. The other curved around a chrome barrier and ended near the entrance. Titi moved quietly between them, drying footprints and collecting discarded paper slips. Whenever she approached the Premier Lounge, Bode's assistant would wave her away until a guest had finished eating. At 9:41, an elderly woman entered through the faulty door. She wore a bright cobalt caftan, a silver headscarf, and flat black shoes. A dark wooden walking stick tapped gently against the marble. Her handbag was brown and well made, but not covered in any obvious designer logo. The door hesitated behind her. She turned and looked at it. Then she looked at Yusuf. Does this door always behave like that? Yusuf opened his mouth. Bode's voice came from behind the reception desk. Good morning, Ma. The door is perfectly fine. Welcome to Meridian. The woman's eyes rested on Bode for 2 calm seconds. Is that so? Yes, Ma. How may we assist you? I want to speak with the officer responsible for customer service. It concerns pensioners and branch access. Bode glanced at her handbag, shoes, and walking stick. His interest faded. Our officers are attending to scheduled clients. Please take a number. The receptionist handed her ticket 147. The number on the screen was 129. Is there somewhere I can sit? The woman asked. The receptionist looked toward the front row. 3 seats were empty, but a small card marked "Ris for Premier Clients" rested on them. Those seats are reserved, Ma. And the others? All occupied. The woman nodded. All right. She stood beside the chrome barrier. Her name was Fatima Balagun. 31 years earlier, she had signed the first incorporation documents of Meridian People's Bank in a rented office with 2 ceiling fans and 1 telephone line. She had built the institution for women like her mother, who once sold grain at mile 12 and was ordered out of a bank because dust from the market stained the bottom of her wrapper. Fatima had retired from daily management 8 years earlier. That morning, she had come without announcement because 19 complaints had reached her private office in 6 weeks. Complaints from pensioners, traders, a visually impaired customer, 2 contract workers who said managers treated them as though they were part of the furniture. Fatima wanted facts. She was getting them. At 9:52, ticket 132 appeared on the screen. A man in a navy suit entered, greeted Bode by name, and walked directly into the Premier Lounge without taking a number. At 10:01, a woman carrying a red designer bag arrived. She was served before Fatima. At 10:08, a pensioner with shaking fingers asked a customer service officer to help him reset his mobile banking password. The officer pushed a printed guide toward him. Everything is there, sir. My eyes cannot see this small writing. Then you can ask somebody at home. But I came to my bank. The officer sighed. Titi watched from 10 meters away. Fatima watched too. At 10:13, Fatima shifted her weight and gripped her walking stick more tightly. A faint shine of sweat appeared on her forehead, though the air conditioner was cold. Titi noticed. She had spent 18 months in a healthcare assistant program before money pulled her out of the classroom. She knew enough to recognize when tiredness was becoming something else. She rolled her cleaning trolley toward Fatima. Ma, are you all right? Fatima gave a small smile. My daughter, I am only tired. I have been standing for too long. Please sit. Titi looked at the reserved seats. Bode was speaking to a premier customer nearby. She reached for one of the chairs. Bode saw her. Leave that chair. Titi froze. Sir, this ma is not feeling fine. Those seats are reserved. She needs to sit, sir. Bode laughed once, without humor. Is she the only old person in Lagos? Go and bring a plastic chair from the staff room if you want to carry her on your head. Do not disturb the arrangement. Titi hurried through the corridor and returned with a white plastic chair. She placed it behind Fatima and supported her elbow as she sat. Thank you, my daughter, Fatima said. Have you eaten today, Ma? A little. Are you diabetic? Fatima looked at her with mild surprise. Yes. Do you have your medicine? I took it this morning. Titi lowered her voice. Please let me call somebody for you. Fatima shook her head. I will be fine once they attend to me. Bode snapped his fingers from across the hall. Cleaner. There is water near counter 4. Titi's face tightened. My name is Titi, sir. The words escaped before fear could stop them. Bode stared at her. What did you say? Titi looked down. Nothing, sir. Then move. As Titi pushed her trolley away, Fatima watched her with a long, thoughtful gaze. At 10:20, ticket 147 finally appeared. Fatima rose from the plastic chair. The hall lights went off. Somebody hissed in frustration. 3 seconds later, the generator came alive. The air conditioners coughed. The digital screens flashed. The automatic doors began a reset cycle. Fatima took one step, then another. Her walking stick slipped from her fingers. The sound of wood striking marble cut through the hall. She swayed. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Then her knees folded. She fell beside the entrance sensor. For one frozen second, everyone stared. The glass doors began to close. Titi moved before anybody else did. Stop the door, she shouted. Nobody should. Enter. A woman outside screamed and stepped back. Two men behind her continued pushing forward, unable to see what had happened on the floor. Yusuf ran toward the emergency cutoff switch. Bode caught his arm. Do not block this entrance. The regional team can arrive any moment. Yusuf looked at him as if he had spoken another language. Sir, somebody is down. I can see that. Use the side control. Do not shut the whole system. The glass panels jerked. One edge moved toward Fatima's shoulder. Titi dropped her mop. She kicked the plastic bucket away so nobody would trip, pulled off the yellow rubber gloves she had used for cleaning, and fell to her knees beside the old woman. Ma, can you hear me? No answer. She touched Fatima's shoulder gently. Ma, open your eyes. Nothing! Titi looked at Fatima's chest. It was rising. Slowly, but it was rising. The door shuttered again. The glass was too close. Yusuf, help me clear the way. Bode's face twisted. Do not carry her. Wait for somebody qualified. The door is still moving, Titi shouted. Cleaner, I am giving you an instruction. Titi looked at the unconscious woman. She looked at the glass. She looked at the crowd, gathering around them with phones already raised. Then she made her choice. She slid one arm behind Fatima's shoulders and the other beneath her knees. Fatima was, but the weight still pulled at Titi's back. Titi rose halfway, adjusted her grip, and held the old woman against her chest. Open the way. Yusuf pushed the chrome barrier aside. Titi carried Fatma through the doorway and 7 meters beneath the covered entrance. Her breath broke in her throat. One sleeve caught against the metal rail and tore near the elbow, but she did not stop. Only when she reached a clear space away from the moving doors did she lower Fatima carefully onto a folded jacket someone placed on the ground. Call emergency, Titi said. Please, somebody call now. A young customer began dialing. Another woman bent toward Fatima with a bottle of water. Let us pour small water inside her mouth. No, ma, Titi said quickly. Please do not give her anything. She is not awake enough to swallow. But she may need sugar. She may. But if she cannot swallow, it can enter the wrong place. Let the paramedics come. Titi loosened the edge of Fatima's headscarf and checked again that she was breathing. She asked Yusuf to keep people back. Then she noticed a slim metal bracelet beneath the old woman's sleeve. Type 2 diabetes. Tell the emergency operator she is diabetic, Titi said, and tell them she became unconscious around 10:23. The customer on the phone repeated the information. Bode stormed outside. His eyes first found the toppled bucket near the entrance, then the customer's filming, then the red carpet, now folded at one corner where people had rushed across it. What is all this confusion? He demanded. Titi looked up from Fatima. Sir, she collapsed. The door nearly closed on her. Why is she lying here? Because this place is clear and safe. Take her into the storage room. Titi stared at him. Sir, do you want every customer entering this branch to meet a body on the floor? Move her inside. She is breathing, and help is coming. We should not keep moving her. Bode's jaw tightened. Who told you to debate with me? Nobody, sir. But no but. Put her in the storage room. Titi did not move. A silence spread through the people around them. Kemi had come outside. She stood behind Bode with her purple folder pressed to her chest. Yusuf watched from beside the door, one hand still resting on the control panel. Titi swallowed. Sir, I cannot do that. The words were quiet. They landed like stones. Bode stepped closer. You cannot? The emergency people are already coming. This place is safe. Moving her again may not help. Bode looked around and saw the phones. His pride rose before his common sense. You are a cleaner with half knowledge and full confidence. That is a dangerous combination. Titi's face burned. Sir, you only abandoned dirty water in my hall, blocked my entrance, and started touching a customer as if you are a hospital worker. Do not let one emergency make you forget your level. This bank pays you to clean what important people leave behind. Somebody in the crowd whispered, Haba. Bode turned sharply. Nobody admitted speaking. He faced Titi again. Move away from her. Titi remained kneeling. Sir, until the paramedics come, somebody should keep checking her breathing. Are you mad? Kemi touched Bode's arm. Sir, cameras are recording. He pulled away. Good. Let them record how an undisciplined contractor disrupted operations. The ambulance has arrived at 10:31. Two paramedics stepped out with a stretcher and medical bag. Titi moved back only when one of them knelt beside Fatima. What happened? He asked. Titi answered in one breath. She had been standing for long. She said she is diabetic. At about 10:23, she dropped her walking stick and collapsed near the automatic door. She did not respond when I called her, but she was breathing. The door was still moving, so I carried her away from it. Nobody gave her water or food. The paramedic looked at her. You checked breathing? Yes, sir. You did well not to put anything in her mouth while she was unresponsive. Bode interrupted. She moved the woman without authorization. The second paramedic glanced at the glass door, which opened halfway and jerked closed again. Was the patient lying inside that path? Yes, Titi said. Then getting her out of immediate danger was reasonable. Bode's nostrils flared. The paramedics checked Fatima's blood glucose, placed an oxygen mask near her face, and prepared the stretcher. As they lifted her, one of Fatima's hands moved weakly. Her eyelids fluttered. Titi leaned closer. Ma, help has come. You are safe. Fatima opened her eyes for only a moment. Her gaze moved from the paramedic to Titi, then toward Bode. Her voice was hardly more than air. Did they record what happened? Titi did not understand. Ma? Fatima's fingers closed around Titi's wrist. What is your name? Titi Nwosu. Fatima looked at the paramedic. Put her name in the report. Then her eyes closed again. The stretcher rolled toward the ambulance. Titi followed 2 steps before Bode's voice stopped her. Where are you going? She turned. Sir, I only wanted to know which hospital. You have done enough. The ambulance doors closed. The siren faded into Maryland traffic. For one brief second, the people outside remained silent. There was dust on Titi's apron. Her chest was still rising fast from carrying Fatima. One yellow glove lay near the door, turned inside out like an empty hand. Then Bode exploded. Remove that uniform now. You are finished in this bank! His voice struck the marble hall like a slap. Titi stood near the entrance, breathless, her pale blue sleeve torn, her orange apron stained with dust. Customers lifted their phones again. You abandoned your mop, touched a customer without permission, and disgraced this branch before important people. Bode said, poor people become dangerous when they taste small importance. Titi's lips trembled. Sir, the door was closing. She could have died. Know your level. You remove dirt. You do not give orders. Yusuf looked away. Kemi's grip tightened around the folder. Nobody defended Titi. Bode pulled out his phone and called the cleaning company. This is Bode Daniels from Meridian, Maryland. Your worker has created a serious incident. I want her removed immediately. He listened for a few seconds. No, I do not need an investigation before she leaves my building. Send a replacement before noon. Titi felt the ground become unsteady beneath her. Sir, please, let them check the camera. Bode ended the call. The camera will show you behaving like a roadside nurse. It will show the door closing. Do not answer me. He held out his hand. Access card. Titi touched the plastic card hanging from her neck. It carried her photograph, her employee number, and one word beneath her name. Contractor. Sir, please. This job is what I use to take care of my mother. Bode smiled without warmth. Then you should have remembered your mother before turning my branch into a village emergency center. Kemi whispered, Sir, perhaps we should document everything first. Bode faced her. You will document exactly what happened. He counted with his fingers. She left an active cleaning area. She made unauthorized physical contact with a customer. She obstructed the entrance. A customer nearly slipped because of her bucket. She created reputational damage during a scheduled executive visit. Kemi's brows drew together. Nobody slipped, sir. Bode stared at her. A customer nearly slipped. The meaning was clear. Kemi lowered her eyes. Yes, sir. Titi slowly removed the card from her neck. Bode took it between two fingers, as though it was dirty. Go to the staff room. Change. Wait for your supervisor. Titi looked toward Yusuf. He could have spoken about the emails. He could have said the door had been reported. His mouth opened. Then Bode looked at him. Yusuf said nothing. Titi walked through the banking hall while every eye followed her. Near counter 4, the small patch of water Bode had mentioned had already been wiped away by another cleaner. The gold letters above reception still shone. Banking with dignity. Titi passed beneath them, carrying her torn sleeve in one hand. Inside the staff room, she closed the door and leaned against it. She did not cry immediately. First, she counted. Rent was due in 9 days. Her mother's medicine would finish on Saturday. There was 11,300 naira in her account. Then the tears came, quietly, because even in pain, Titi had learned not to disturb important people. Titi's supervisor arrived at 11:18. He did not ask her what happened. He did not ask whether the old woman was alive. He stood near the staff entrance with his car key in one hand and a printed suspension letter in the other. "You will follow me to the office," he said. "Sir, can I explain first?" "You can explain there, but they are saying things that did not happen." He glanced toward the banking hall. "Meridian is our biggest contract. Do not make this worse." That sentence told Titi everything. At the cleaning company's office in Surulere, she sat on a plastic chair beneath a wall calendar while 3 people discussed her as if she was not present. The supervisor read Bode's complaint aloud. Unauthorized handling of a bank customer, abandonment of duty, unsafe cleaning practice, conduct capable of causing reputational and financial damage. Titi clasped her hands. "Sir, the woman fell beside a faulty door. It was closing on her." "Are you a nurse?" "No." "Are you a doctor?" "No, sir, but I attended healthcare assistant training before I stopped. I checked that she was breathing. I only moved her because the door was—" "Did you complete the training?" Titi hesitated. "No." The man leaned back. "So you are not qualified." "I did not treat her. I called emergency." The paramedic said, "We cannot lose a contract worth 14 million naira because one cleaner wanted to play hero." The words entered Titi slowly. "Am I being dismissed? You are suspended without pay while we investigate." "How long?" "As long as necessary." "Can I see the CCTV? That belongs to the bank." "Can I see the report?" "That is confidential." "But the report is about me." The supervisor folded his arms. "Titi, this stubbornness is the problem. A big institution has complained. Instead of showing remorse, you are arguing." Titi looked at the letter. There was a line for her signature. "What am I admitting if I sign?" "That you received it. Not that I caused the woman to fall. Sign and stop wasting time." Titi signed. Her hand shook so badly that the final letter of her surname looked broken. Back at Meridian, Bode had already begun rebuilding the morning in his own image. Kemi sat across from him in his office. The purple folder lay open between them. On her laptop was the first incident report she had drafted. It stated that Fatima had collapsed at 10:23 near the automatic entrance. It stated that the door had been reported as unstable. It stated that Titi moved the customer from the path of the glass panels and that no second injury had been observed. Bode read it once. Then he pushed the laptop back. "This is not acceptable." Kemi kept her voice level. "Which part is inaccurate?" The tone. "It is an incident report, sir. It reads as if the cleaner rescued somebody and management failed." Kemi said nothing. Bode leaned forward. "Remove the maintenance history paragraph." "But there were 2 emails. The technician has not confirmed a defect." "The CCTV shows the door cycling after the power returned." "Machines cycle. That does not prove a defect." Kemi pressed her lips together. Bode pointed at another line. "Change moved the customer from immediate danger to initiated unauthorized physical contact." "Sir, that changes the meaning." "That is the meaning." He dictated the rest. "The contractor abandoned an active cleaning area. A customer nearly slipped because the bucket was unattended." The contractor's intervention may have contributed to the customer's condition. Kemi looked up sharply. There is no medical basis for that last sentence. Right may have. No customer nearly slipped. Boda's eyes hardened. Were you watching every foot in the hall? No. Then do not speak with confidence you cannot support. Kemi felt something cold settle in her stomach. Sir, the report will go to risk. Exactly. And I will not allow one contract worker to stain this branch 3 hours before we receive an award. The award ceremony has been postponed because of the incident. Bode's expression changed, only slightly. But Kemi saw it. Fear, he reached for the laptop. I will finish it myself. Kemi let him. Before leaving the office, she emailed the original draft to her private work folder. She told herself it was only for record keeping. It was easier than admitting she was afraid. Yusuf received his own paper at 2:07 that afternoon. Bode placed it on the security desk. The statement said the automatic door had been functioning normally before the customer collapsed. You will sign this, Bode said. Yusuf read it twice. Sir, I reported the sensor. You reported a delay, not a dangerous fault. I wrote that it closed unexpectedly. Did it injure anybody before today? No. Then your concern was unconfirmed. Yusuf did not pick up the pen. Bode lowered his voice. Your company's renewal is next month. Yusuf's jaw tightened. I know, sir. You have people depending on you. I know. And nobody at headquarters will choose a security guard's opinion over a branch manager's report. Bode tapped the paper. Take it home. Bring it tomorrow. Yusuf folded the statement and placed it inside his uniform pocket. That night, he took it out 7 times. He did not sign it. The following morning, Titi woke before her alarm. For several seconds, she forgot she had been suspended. Her hand reached automatically for the pale blue uniform hanging behind the door. Then she remembered. Her mother was already awake on the mattress near the window. The older woman had seen the folded suspension letter on the table. What did they say happened? She asked. Titi forced a smile. Small misunderstanding at work. Will they pay you this week? Titi looked away. I am managing it. Her mother studied her face. You always say you are managing when the load is already pressing your neck. Titi sat beside her. An old woman fainted. I helped her. The manager said I should not have touched her. Is she alive? I do not know. That answer disturbed Titi more than the suspension. By 8:30, she had decided to go to the hospital listed on the paramedic's vest. The transport would cost nearly 1,000 naira both ways. She counted the cash in her purse, removed 2 notes, and returned one. At the hospital reception, a nurse asked her relationship to Fatima. I am not her family. I was there when she collapsed. Do you know her full name? No, ma. Then we cannot give you patient information. I only want to know if she is alive. The nurse's face softened, but the answer remained no. Titi sat in the waiting area for 43 minutes. Finally, she wrote a note on the back of an old envelope. Ma, I hope you are recovering. I am sorry if moving you caused any pain. The glass door was closing, and I was afraid it would injure you. I did what I remembered from my old training. Please get well. Titi Nwosu. She bought a small clean towel from a kiosk, added an unopened bottle of water, and left both at the desk. She did not write her phone number. She did not write an account number. She went home. Fatima read the note that evening. Her blood sugar had stabilized. The cardiologist had adjusted one of her medicines and warned her against taking it without enough food. A mild rhythm disturbance had worsened the fainting episode, but no stroke or head injury had occurred. The doctor placed the note on her bedside table. The cleaner acted sensibly, he said. From the account in the ambulance record, you were inside the path of a moving door. She removed you from immediate danger, then stopped. She also prevented people from giving you water while you're not fully conscious. Fatima touched the edge of the envelope. The bank's report says her actions may have worsened my condition. The doctor frowned. There is nothing in your examination to support that. Fatima looked toward her assistant, who stood beside the window. Read the parole again. The assistant did. Every line that reduced Teti to a risk sounded worse beside her handwritten apology. When the reading ended, Fatima asked one question. Has the young woman been contacted? The cleaning company suspended her yesterday. So quickly? 97 minutes after the ambulance left. Fatima's fingers became still on the envelope. Who authorized the branch report? Bo Daniels. Send the CCTV, maintenance logs, waiting time data, staff training records, and both versions of every incident document to group risk. Do not announce a founder's review. Let them believe it is routine. The assistant nodded. And find out whether contract workers attend the same safety training as direct staff. Very well. Ma Fatima looked at Titi's note again. No calls to her yet. Facts first. The quiet investigation began the next morning. The central server held the CCTV Bode could not erase. The maintenance system held Yusuf's emails. The customer service dashboard showed that ordinary customers waited an average of 34 minutes, while premier clients waited 6. The records also showed something uglier. Staff had created an unofficial code in the daily queue notes. A1 meant likely wealthy. C3 meant low value, difficult, or cash based. Fatima had been marked C3. The risk team recovered Kemi's original report from the version history. They saw Bode's edits. They found that the emergency assistance button near the pensioners' seats had been marked operational, even though no test had been logged for 11 days. They found that cleaners and security guards had been excluded from first aid training because Bode considered them external labor. And they found the email where Bode had told Yusuf to keep the door operational until after inspection. Meanwhile, Bode heard that headquarters was requesting files. He called the cleaning company again. The woman must not return, he said. Suspension is not enough. The supervisor hesitated. The investigation is still open. Then close it. Your contract renewal will be reviewed next month. By 4:15 that afternoon, Titi received a message ordering her to report to the cleaning company. She arrived at 5:02. 6 other cleaners were waiting to collect weekly supplies. The supervisor called Titi forward where everyone could see. Meridian has withdrawn confidence in you, he said. Your employment is terminated for gross misconduct. Titi stared at him. Did you watch the camera? That is not relevant. Did you speak to the paramedics? Stop questioning management. He held out his hand. Name tag. Titi gave it to him. He opened a desk drawer, brought out a pair of scissors, and cut the plastic card through the middle. The sound was small. It broke something large. One half fell onto the desk. The other struck the floor. You may leave, he said. Titi bent and picked up both pieces. Why are you taking rubbish? She closed her fingers around them. Because it has my name on it. Nobody laughed. She walked out before the tears came. That night, Kemi received an automated notice showing that Titi's contractor access had been permanently deleted. She opened the original report again. She remembered Titi kneeling beside Fatima. She remembered the sentence she had allowed Bode to insert. She remembered lowering her eyes. Her fear had not protected an innocent person. It had helped crush her. At 10:46 p.m., Kemi sent the original draft, the edited report, and a written statement to group risk. At 11:13, Yusuf forwarded both maintenance emails, a photograph of the warning sign and the unsigned statement Bode had given him. He wrote only one line. I should have spoken earlier. 2 days later, Titi's phone rang while she was washing clothes in a bucket. A woman from Meridian headquarters introduced herself and asked Titi to attend a branch event on Friday morning. The board would like to hear your account of the incident. Titi gripped the wet shirt in her hand. Am I being sued? I cannot discuss the review by phone. Should I bring a lawyer? You may bring representation if you have it. Titi almost laughed. A lawyer cost more than the money left in her account. What time? 10 o'clock. After the call, her mother found her sitting beside the bucket. What did they say? They want me at the bank. For what? I do not know. Will you go? Titi looked at the two broken pieces of her name tag lying on the table. If they want to shame me again, at least I will hear it with my own ears. Friday arrived bright and merciless. Titi wore the best clothes she owned, a plain orange blouse, a black skirt, and low shoes polished with cooking oil because she had run out of shoe cream. She placed the two broken halves of her old name tag inside her handbag. At 9:37, she stood across the road from Meridian People's Bank. The red carpet had been repaired. Fresh banners covered the entrance. Best Customer Experience Branch. For a moment, Titi considered turning back. Then she remembered Fatima's hand closing weakly around her wrist. Put her name in the report. Titi crossed the road. Yusuf was at the entrance. When he saw her, shame passed across his face. Sister Titi, good morning. He opened the side door for her. I am sorry. Titi paused. For what? For keeping quiet that day. She looked at him for a long moment. Will you speak today? Yes, then speak well. Inside the hall, rows of chairs faced a small stage. Bank employees wore matching lapel pins. A screen displayed photographs of smiling customers and words like trust, care, and inclusion. Titi was directed to the last row. Kemi sat near the aisle in a bright purple blouse. When their eyes met, Kemi stood halfway, then sat again. She looked as if sleep had avoided her for several nights. Bode moved through the room greeting senior staff. His green suit was darker than the one he had worn on Wednesday. His ruby tie sat perfectly straight. He smiled, shook hands, and accepted congratulations as though the week had gone exactly according to plan. When he noticed Titi, his smile stopped. He walked to her. Who invited you? Headquarters. For what? They said the board wants to hear my account. Bodhi gave a short laugh. Do not misunderstand courtesy. They may simply want you to admit your error before this matter is closed. Titi said nothing. He bent slightly so only she could hear. Do not come here expecting miracle because an old woman held your hand. This is a bank. Evidence has rank. People like you should learn when to disappear quietly. Titi looked straight at him. I disappeared from the payroll, sir. I did not disappear from the camera. Bode's face changed. Before he could answer, a regional director called his name. He walked away. At 10:06, the event began. The master of ceremonies introduced Bode as a leader who had transformed customer experience through discipline and innovation. Applause filled the hall. Bode stepped onto the stage. He waited until the room became quiet. At Meridian, Maryland, he began, We believe dignity is not a slogan. It is a daily practice. Titi felt the broken name tag inside her handbag, like a sharp object. Bode continued. Our branch has maintained an exceptional safety record and an efficient service culture. Earlier this week, we experienced an unfortunate disturbance caused by an untrained contract worker. Management responded quickly, protected our customers, and restored order. He never said Titi's name. He looked toward the last row. The incident reminds us why operational decisions must remain in qualified hands. A man seated near the stage raised his hand. He was from Group Risk. Mr. Daniels, before the certificate is presented, the board has requested clarification on that incident. Bode smiled. Of course. The screen behind him went black. Then two documents appeared side by side. Bode's smile faded. The first was Kemi's original report. The second was the version submitted under Bode's authority. Deleted sentences glowed in yellow. Automatic entrance had been reported as unstable. FEC officer request temporary closure. Contract cleaner moved customer from immediate danger. No secondary fall or slip was observed. The room became silent. The risk director spoke. Mr. Daniels, did you remove these statements? Bode adjusted his tie. I corrected unverified assumptions. Did you add that Miss Nwosu's intervention may have contributed to the customer's collapse? It was a reasonable risk consideration. Based on which medical opinion? Bode glanced toward Titi. The cleaner had no qualification. That was not my question. Bode's mouth tightened. Kemi was called forward. She walked to the microphone with the purple folder in her hands. Did you prepare the first report? The director asked. Yes. Were the deleted statements accurate to the best of your knowledge? Yes. Why did you sign the altered version? Kemi swallowed. Because Mr. Daniels instructed me to, and because I was afraid of losing my job. A murmur moved through the hall. Bode stepped toward the microphone. This is personal retaliation. Kemi has been unhappy with performance expectations. Kemi turned to him. No, sir, I was unhappy with myself. Her voice shook, but she continued. I watched an innocent woman lose her job because I allowed fear to make me useful to a lie. She faced Titi. I am sorry. Titi did not smile. She did not nod. Some apologies needed time before they could enter the heart. Yusuf was called Steptelst. He gave the exact times of his maintenance emails. Monday at 8:14 in the morning, Tuesday at 4:39 in the afternoon. The emails appeared on the screen. Beneath Yusuf's second warning was Bode's reply. Keep it operational until after the inspection. Bode shook his head. That badge was about avoiding unnecessary disruption. It does not prove the door caused the collapse. No, the risk director said, but it proves you knew there was a concern and refused temporary control. The lights dimmed. CCTV footage began. The hall watched Fatima enter. They watched her receive ticket 147. They watched 5 later customers move ahead of her. They watched Titi bring the plastic chair after Bode refused access to an empty reserved seat. They watched the power fail. They watched Fatima fall. The door began closing. Titi ran. Yusuf moved toward the cutoff control. Bode caught his arm. The footage had no clear sound, but the body language needed no translation. Then Titi lifted Fatima from the path of the glass. No dragging. No careless pulling. No customer slipped. No one even came close. The video continued outside. It showed Bode looking at the red carpet before looking at Fatima. Somebody in the audience gasped. When the lights came back on, Bode's face was wet with sweat. He pointed at Titi. This does not change the central issue. She has no certificate, no rank, and no understanding of reputational risk. A bank cannot allow cleaners to decide operational policy because emotions are high. Titi stood. Her legs trembled, but her voice did not. Sir, I did not carry your reputation. She paused. I carried a woman who could not stand. The words crossed the hall and returned as silence. Then a woman's voice came from the entrance. And that woman is standing today because somebody valued her life more than a ceremony. Every head turned. Fatima Balagan walked into the hall in a bright cobalt caftan and silver headscarf. She used the same dark wooden walking stick, but her steps were steady. Titi recognized her immediately. Bode did not. His fear made him impatient. Please escort this customer to the waiting area, he said. We are in the middle of an internal matter. The regional director stood. The board representatives stood. One by one, senior staff rose from their chairs. The master of ceremonies lowered his microphone, then lifted it again with an unsteady hand. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Madam Fatima Balagun, founder of Meridian People's Bank. Something slipped from Bode's fingers. His speech cards scattered across the stage. One landed face up near his shoe. Banking with dignity. Fatima walked past him. She went first to Titi. My daughter. Titi's eyes filled. Are you well? I am alive. Fatima took her hand. Because you did not wait for permission to recognize danger. Bode found his voice. Madam Founder, I did not know it was you. Fatima turned slowly. That is your defense? No, Ma. I mean, if I had known, if you had known, you would have found me a chair. Bode opened his mouth. If you had known the faulty door would suddenly have become important? He lowered his eyes. If you had known, Titi would have had a name? Nobody moved. Fatima stepped onto the stage. When I was a young woman, my mother entered a bank after leaving Mile 12 Market. There was grain dust on her wrapper. A clerk told her to wait outside because important customers were inside. Her voice remained calm. That humiliation followed her home. It followed me for years. Meridian was built because I believed a person's clothing must never decide the quality of service they receive. She pointed toward the screen. Yet in a branch carrying our name, customers were ranked by appearance. Pensioners were treated as burdens. Contract workers were excluded from training. Safety records were changed to protect an award. Bode's shoulders had begun to fold. Fatima faced him directly. If I were not the founder, would your false report have become the truth? He said nothing. If I had only 3,000 naira in my account, would anybody here have investigated? Still nothing. Fatima's voice hardened. The day a bank respects only the people who look wealthy is the day it stops being a bank for the public and becomes a private club. Applause started somewhere near the back. Fatima raised one hand. It stopped. This is not a celebration yet. The board representative walked to the microphone. Pending a formal disciplinary investigation, Mr. Bode Daniels is suspended with immediate effect. His system access is revoked. The best customer experience certification is withdrawn. The report against Ms. Titi Nwosu is formally retracted. Bode looked toward the regional director. Sir, please, I can explain. You have been explaining, the man replied. Yusuf approached with another security officer. He did not touch Bode. He simply held out his hand. Access card, sir. The room remembered. Bode remembered too. Slowly, he removed the card from his neck. He placed it in Yusuf's palm. The cleaner's supervisor was called forward next. He had been sitting near the side wall, hoping nobody would notice him. The board representative asked, Did your company review the CCTV before terminating Ms. Nwosu? No, sir. Did you interview the paramedics? No. Did you obtain her full account? We relied on the client's report. Then you did not investigate. You obeyed. The man lowered his head. Fatima returned to Titi. What do you want this bank to do? The room waited for a dramatic demand. Money, a house, a senior position. Titi asked for none of them. I want my record corrected, she said. I want the days they suspended me to be paid. I want cleaners and security people to join first aid training. And I want nobody to lose work because they reported a dangerous machine. Fatima's eyes softened. Nothing for yourself beyond what was taken? Titi looked around the hall. If the system remains the same, another poor person will suffer after everybody forgets my name. Fatima nodded. That is the answer of somebody who understands leadership better than many people with offices. She faced the staff. You nearly destroyed the only person who behaved according to the values written on your walls. Above them, the screen still displayed one word: dignity. This time, nobody clapped. They stood inside the weight of it. The disciplinary process lasted 18 days. This time, nobody was allowed to rewrite the facts. Bode's emails, the CCTV, the 2 incident reports, and the pressure placed on witnesses were reviewed by Human Resources, Legal, and Group Risk. He was invited to respond with representation present. He denied discrimination. He called his decisions commercial judgment. He described the altered report as executive editing. But careful words could not clean a dirty record. His employment was terminated for suppressing a known safety concern, falsifying an incident report, pressuring witnesses, and retaliating against a contract worker. He lost the promotion he had been chasing and the quarterly bonus attached to the customer service award. He did not lose his house overnight. He was not dragged to prison for public entertainment. He simply lost the authority he had abused. For Bode, that was enough. The cleaning company received its own consequences. Meridian suspended the contract renewal until the company introduced a proper investigation process for employee complaints. Titi's dismissal was withdrawn. Her unpaid wages were restored, including the days she had been suspended. The supervisor who cut her name tag had to face the same 6 cleaners who witnessed it. He stood before them with a new card in his hand. Titi Nwosu, he said, unable to meet her eyes, the company acknowledges that your employment was terminated without a fair investigation. Your record has been corrected. We apologize. Titi accepted the card. Then she opened her handbag and removed the 2 broken halves of the old one. The room became quiet. I will keep these, she said. The supervisor frowned. Why? To remember what can happen when a big person's lie is treated as evidence and a poor person's truth is treated as noise. Nobody had an answer. Kemi received a formal warning for signing the altered report. She did not complain. I deserve to remember that fear is not innocence, she told Titi. For several weeks, Titi remained polite but distant. Forgiveness did not arrive because somebody requested it. It came slowly through what Kemi did next. Kemi volunteered to lead a new records integrity program. She taught staff that original reports must remain visible, that corrections must be traceable, and that no manager should control both the event and the official account of it. At the first session, she placed the two versions of Fatima's incident report on the screen. This is what cowardice looks like when it enters a document, she said. Yusuf's maintenance emails were formally added to the safety file. His security company confirmed that he would not face retaliation. At the next branch briefing, the regional director thanked him for reporting the fault. Yusuf did not smile much. He knew he had reported the machine, but he had still remained silent while Titi was humiliated. Later, he found her near the staff entrance. I spoke eventually, he said. Titi nodded. Yes, but not when you needed me first. No, I am sorry. Titi looked at him. Next time, do not wait for a founder to be involved. I will not. That is better than apology. The Maryland branch entered a 90-day reform program. The automatic doors were replaced, not merely repaired. The broken emergency button near the pensioners' seats was fixed and tested every Monday. More chairs were added. Customers who struggled with the mobile application could request human assistance without being spoken to like stubborn children. The unofficial A1 and C3 labels disappeared from the queue notes. Waiting times for ordinary customers and premier clients were displayed in the weekly performance report. Managers could no longer hide poor service behind averages. Most importantly, first aid and safety training became mandatory for everyone working inside the branch. Not only managers, not only permanent staff, cleaners attended, security guards attended, drivers attended. People who had once been treated like background furniture were finally brought into the room. The yellow warning sign Bode had ordered Titi to remove was placed inside the training hall. Beneath it, someone fixed a small plaque. Image is never more important than safety. Fatima kept her promise to Titi, but she refused to turn gratitude into charity. You had begun professional training, she said during a private meeting. Do you still want to complete it? Titi looked down at her hands. Yes, Ma, but school fees and work answer only the question. Yes, I want to finish. Meridian funded the remaining part of her healthcare assistant program through its staff development scheme. During her studies, Titi was offered a supervised position as customer's safety support officer. The title sounded large to her at first. The duties were practical. She inspected customer areas, checked that reported hazards were logged, assisted during emergencies within the limits of her training, and collected access complaints from elderly customers and contract workers. She was not made a branch manager. She did not become wealthy by Friday evening. She studied after work. She failed one assessment and repeated it. She traveled in crowded buses. She still measured some money in meals. But her work now had a path. 11 months later, Titi completed her certificate. Her mother attended the small graduation ceremony wearing a borrowed wrapper and crying without shame. Fatima sat 3 rows behind her and did not allow anybody to reserve a special front seat. 1 year after the day of the collapse, Titi stood inside Meridian, Maryland's training room. Her pale blue cleaning uniform was gone. She wore a soft aqua blouse with an orange scarf around her neck. On the wall behind her was the yellow warning sign. In front of her sat tellers, managers, cleaners, guards, and drivers. Kemi sat in the second row. Yusuf sat beside the door. Fatima sat at the back in cobalt blue, listening like an ordinary participant. Titi held up the new staff card hanging from her neck. A uniform can tell people what work you do, she said. It cannot tell them how much wisdom, courage, or dignity you carry. She placed the card down. Then she brought out the two broken halves of her old name tag and set them beside it. On the day this was cut, I thought losing my job was the worst thing that could happen. Later, I understood something. The greater danger was allowing somebody else's report to become the final truth about me. The room was silent. Titi looked toward the cleaners seated together. If you notice a hazard, report it. Keep the record. Follow the proper process. Do not assume your job title makes your eyes less valuable. She turned toward the managers, and when somebody with less power speaks, do not first ask whether the person is important. Ask whether the person is correct. Fatima smiled. For a few seconds, nobody applauded. The lesson needed space to settle. Then everyone stood. Some people later said Titi was lucky because the woman she helped happened to be the founder of the bank. But that was not the real lesson. Fatima's identity did not make Titi's action right. It only forced powerful people to examine behavior they would otherwise have excused. Even if the woman on that floor had owned nothing, held no title, and known nobody important, she still deserved help. And Titi deserved to be heard before anyone discovered whom she had saved. A society has not learned respect simply because it treats powerful people well. Anybody can bow when a title is announced. Anybody can smile when money enters the room. Character is revealed earlier, in the queue, at the doorway, beside the person whose name seems unable to reward or punish you. Never wait to discover somebody's status before offering dignity. By then, you have already revealed your own.